With patch 2.3 just round the corner for Marvel's Avengers, we've got an update to various different gear sets that are available in the game. So in this video, what I've actually got, I've got 3 sets of infographics for the 10 different characters that are available in the game. So they're all updated to include the new tooltips and also the new stat distribution and some of the slots as well. So what I'll do is I'll run through each of them. I've highlighted the new perks. I've put 3 stars at either side of the name of the new perk so you can see straight away if it's a new one. And what I'll do is I'll quickly discuss that new perk and let you know if I think it's actually worthwhile farming or not. Now, the first character we'll start off with here, it'll be Black Panther. So this first character was probably actually a bad one to pick because Black Panther doesn't have any new perk changes at all, unfortunately being a more recent character. But what I'll do is I'll explain where the sets actually drop and what the sets are. So you can see this one is now called the Classic set, and this will drop from your Elite Hives and also your Villain Sectors as well. There will be a weekly that will give you a higher chance of an exotic version of one of these particular gear drops. I'll also mention very quickly that if you look at the slot 4, the stats have changed in this. They confirmed on screen that the slot 4 can now drop Might, Precision, Valour and Resolve. Previously it was just Precision, Valour and Resolve, so for your melee based builds that's most definitely an upgrade. But let's check out the next piece here. So this set, once again, no changes, so I'm just going to talk about the location. This is called the Technical set, and this comes from your vaults and also your last Avengers stand, and that's the 14 floor hive that you get. Finishing up Black Panther, we have what's known as the Apex set. This is essentially the set that came from your priority missions. Prior to that, this set used to drop in the cloning labs, so maybe a little bit confusing, but this is the Apex set, and once again you get it from your weekly priority mission. But let's check out a character that has had changes. This will be Black Widow. We'll start off here with the Classic set then for Black Widow. It's just the one perk that's changed on this particular set. I believe personally this one is a bit of a downgrade. What you used to get before with this particular one is it would be a decrease in the regen speed for one of your heroics. That's changed to Assault Empowerment, so it now offers a high chance to boost intrinsic energy when using Widow's Bite. It's just a bit too niche for me, to be honest. Yes, it's nice to fill up your intrinsic bar honour, but I would much rather have my heroics coming up quicker. But that's the Classic set. Let's look at the Technical one. For the Technical set, we have 2 changes here. I would say these are both upgrades. One of them I actually really like, but the first one is Melee Slot 1, the first perk. It's Shadow Ops Breaker. This previously used to be a random status effect on a melee attack. Now you get 15% increased damage from Shadow Ops attacks. I actually like that one. And then we've got the defensive slot. The middle perk is Lethal Invisibility, a % chance when defeating an enemy to grant Black Widow invisibility. I really like that. It's playing into the theme of her going invisible. It's something that's in game, it's easily fun to implement. I absolutely love perks like this. I would like to see a lot more such as this. We have just the one perk here changing on the Apex set. Once again, it's on the defensive slot. I really like what they've done with this. Again, I think possibly Black Widow's my favourite character in regards to the changes. Are nothing amazingly different or anything like that, but from a flavour perspective they do certainly play into the character. But it's the third perk down, which is Smoke Grenade Reactive, so there's a % chance to finish in smoke when taking damage. There we go, really pretty nice and simple. But once again, from a flavour perspective, I like this. It's much more fun to have something like this than have a simple stat stick where your damage goes up or down. But that's Black Widow. Let's check out Captain America next. We have 3 changes here for the Classic set. For Cap, I like the flavour idea they went with these, but overall I don't think they're too impressive. You've got Block Surplus, so this increases intrinsic energy amount. There's certain setups you can run with Cap, but his intrinsic energy doesn't actually go down when you're blocking, so I think this is a bit useless. And then you've got Lethal Nimble Overdrive, activates Captain's Defence from defeating enemies with block attacks or perfectly evading enemy attacks. I like getting the buff activating from defeating enemies, but it's again a bit situational to have it in block attacks or perfectly evading. With Cap you should be blocking rather than evading most of the time. The final perk is on the heroic one. It's Commander's Call Safeguard, increased defence while Captain's Defence buff is active, so you can see that's tying in with the slot 3 and 4. So decent changes, nothing to blow me away or say the set's worth farming or anything like that. It almost seems like they're kind of moving the perks on this sideways as opposed to up or down. But that's the Classic set. Let's look at the Technical. With this next set here, we actually have a perk change on each of the slots. So looking at the Melee slot 1, You've got Captain's Defense Trigger. This looks to be a reactive buff, which we've never actually seen on a slot 1, I don't believe. This one looks to be quite nice. So there's a % chance to automatically activate Captain's Defense when taking damage, completely negating the attack. Yes, it will be a bit random, but thematically I do like the idea of this one. We then have Captain's Target. It's going to be pretty hard to get this one activating. Quickly landing 3 headshots in a row using Shield Throw will activate the Captain's Charge buff. We then have the defensive slot, Rally Cry Supercharge, increased willpower and heroic regen during Rally Cry, and then Shield Block Safeguard, increased armour based on the current amount of Shield Block energy. Quite a few heroes actually have changes such as this where they can gain a bonus based on the amount of intrinsic energy they have. I need to wait to see how it is in game before I really form an opinion on it, but I do like the slot 1 with the Captain's Defence trigger. Finishing up Cap, then we have the Apex set. There's some changes in here that were from a previous patch. I've not highlighted them, but if you're a big Cap fan, you may want to check out the whole of this infographic. But looking at the ones that were changed specifically for this patch, you've got Brooklyn Brawler Overdrive. Increases intrinsic regen when Brooklyn Brawler is active. I'm pretty sure before what we actually had for this was Jarvis Barrier on crit, so I far preferred that over this one here. I see that as a downgrade. For the slot 3, we've got Brooklyn Brawler Extension. Extends the duration of Brooklyn Brawler by 8.5 seconds. May be useful, but as far as I'm aware, you don't really have too much trouble getting really high uptime on Brooklyn Brawler as it is. Overall though, I do like the idea of this set, that it's really based around Brooklyn Brawler. You can see in the heroic slot 4 there's quite a few perks that have Brooklyn Brawler in the name of them now. But that is Cap. Let's check out the next hero. For Hawkeye then, unfortunately we only have one change, but here is the infographic for the classic set. There's no changes on this one. Let's quickly bring up the technical set. So the one perk change we actually have is on this particular set, so you can see it's the heroic. Perk number 2, this before I believe it was an extra charge for your assault heroic. It's now rampant boon, so increased crit chance or overcharge. That should come in handy with us losing 35% crit chance from the damage buff. The only problem is when you're overcharged you're using locked on, and locked on is still bugged in that you're targeting feet and such as well. But overall I can see the theme they went for with this, in that you have Hunter overcharge, so you can activate your overcharge straight away, and then you've got the rampant boon for the crit chance, and then you've also got the number of targets that are getting hit by your Hunter's arrow as well. So again, I like the general theme they went with this. It's just a case of locked on needs to be fixed for it to be a bit more useful. Final screenshot here for Hawkeye. Once again, there's not been any changes to this at all, but there's the infographic should you need it. Let's now jump on to Hulk. The first set we have here is for Hulk. It's a classic set, so it's hives and villain sectors. Once again, no perk changes with this particular one, so let's jump on to the next set. With the technical set then, we have 3 perk changes here. 2 I really like, 1 I would say is probably a downgrade. On the ranged one, the third perk down, Rage Breaker, increased damage based on amount of rage energy. Now of course you build up your rage energy when you're actually attacking, so I like this, that you're getting your inherent damage increase from rage energy as it is, but you're getting a further increase on top of it as well, so I do like this perk. We then have Lethal Nimble Overdrive. This is on the defensive slot. Gain Bone Shaker for a brief duration after defeating enemies with rage attacks or when perfectly evading an incoming attack. This one's really pretty awesome, to be honest, because Bone Shaker's pretty amazing. When you have it active, you don't get staggered at all, which makes you truly feel like Hulk. When you don't have small aim robots punching you and staggering you, you just smash your way through them. The final perk, this one used to be a perk that would actually increase the recharge speed, I believe, of Bone Shaker, so this one I would class as a downgrade. It's Bone Shaker Supercharge, increases willpower and heroic regen during Bone Shaker. I would much rather have Bone Shaker available quicker. I think it was an 18% increase, you would actually get it quicker than this particular one here, but overall 2 of the 3 of them are pretty nice there. We have 2 changes here for the Apex set, both pretty underwhelming to be honest. You've got Bone Shaker Rush on the defensive slot. Melee attacks slowly regenerate willpower when Bone Shaker is active. And then we have the heroic one, second perk down, it's Bone Shaker Overdrive. Increases intrinsic regen while Bone Shaker is active. Yeah, they're pretty underwhelming, they two, to be honest. I much prefer the previous set, the technical one that we looked at. But let's have a look at the next hero. Need to find out the numbers of some of these perks to know how useful they will be, but your melee slot 1, you've got Hulkbuster Impulse, increases Hulkbuster stun damage, that's okay, nothing that special. And then you've got the slot 4, the heroic, you've got Hulkbuster Breaker, increases Hulkbuster damage. Hulkbuster's really undertuned, so it would have to be a fair amount for this to make it worthwhile trying to run Hulkbuster from a damage perspective. Survivability, of course, it's amazing because it's invincible, but damage lacks. And then you've got Armory Spike, which increases all crit damage from weapons. Really need to find out how much crit damage it is you'd actually get from it, but pretty simple changes there. Let's look at the technical set. We have quite a few changes with this particular set. Then on your melee, you've got the third perk down, Lethal Supercharge. It's just too niche, potential to be nice, but far too niche. It provides supercharged energy, heroic energy and willpower when defeating enemies with light power attacks. Like, how many Iron Man players only use light power attacks? You've then got the range slot 2, Supercharge Safeguard, increased armour based on amount of intrinsic energy. Could be good with a build that only uses that light power attack, but if you're dropping in your weapons, you're either aiming them or using your heavy attack, your intrinsic energy will go down, meaning you get less of a boost from this, so not really a fan of this particular one. Looking at the slot 4 here, we've got Supercharge Safeguard, grants armour while Supercharge is active, and then Supercharge Extension, increases duration, Supercharge is active. Supercharge, I believe, is a new name they're using for when your intrinsic bar fills up and you get into that overcharge status on them. So yeah, these are okay. There's a bit of a theme going on with the heroic slot 4 there if you're looking for a build that's based around filling up his overcharge status. But let's look at the final set for him. So for this particular set here, we actually have 3 perks in one piece that's changed. I believe that's the only one that's had a complete overhaul such as this, but we'll look at the defensive slot first, where there's been 2 changes. You've got Skyguard Disruptor, increase energy gain from intrinsic orbs, could be good on a melee laser build I suppose. And then you've got Lethal Nimble Overdrive, gain supercharge for a brief duration after defeating enemies with a light attack or perfectly evading an attack. I like the supercharge, but it seems a bit niche being just a light attack or evading an attack there. Perhaps if it was maybe like a melee attack or something like that, that could be a bit nicer there, quite fun. But looking at the heroic slot 4, 3 changes here. Electron Shunt, extra intrinsic energy when parrying enemy attacks. I personally never parry on Iron Man, he's always flying in the sky firing rockets for me. Rampant Spike, increases crit damage while overcharged, and then Arc Overload Assistance, grants a second Arc Overload charge. That one's actually kind of nice there and that could be quite useful, but overall they're okay, nothing really that special apart from the third perk down in heroic. That is quite a nice one. With Kate then, we don't have any changes at all, but here are the slides for us. So you've got your classic set, here is the technical set, and then finishing up we have the Apex set for us, so nice and easy to cover that particular one. Let's check out the next character now. With Miss Marvel then, we have quite a few changes. We don't unfortunately have any changes for this particular set, the classic one, so let's jump on to the next one. Just the 2 changes then with the technical set. You've got your ranged one, the third perk down, Healing Spirit Extension, increases duration of Healing Spirit buff in Miss Marvel. And then you've got your defensive slot, Polymorph Melee Rush. Melee attacks slowly regenerate willpower during Polymorph. Now, as far as I'm aware, I don't play Miss Marvel much. You actually regenerate health anyway when you're actually using Polymorph, and it goes up pretty quick. So this looks like it would be pretty useless. Let me know if you're a Miss Marvel player in the comments below, but yeah, it doesn't seem like this one's that good for me. But let's have a look at the Apex set. So it's just the 2 perk changes we have here. Overall I thought there was more perk changes to Miss Marvel, but apparently not. There's maybe some older changes from previous patches in those infographics. Again, if you're a Miss Marvel player, let me know. But the 2 perk changes, you've got melee slot 1 here, Embiggen Destruction, increased stun status and overall damage during Embiggen, that's pretty nice. And then you're jumping over to the slot 4, Embiggen Overdrive, increase intrinsic regen during Embiggen. So this particular set, you can see it's all about the Embiggen buff on them, which I believe can be actually really pretty powerful. But let's now jump on to the next character. So we have Spider-Man here. There's been 0 changes to this kit, which does make sense because it was only out a couple of months ago anyway. But this is the classic set. And here's the technical set, which once again comes from your vaults and your last Avengers stand-in. And then finishing up for Spider-Man, here is the Apex set, which comes from the priority missions. So let's jump on to the final hero, which will be Thor. We have the classic set to start here, one perk change, another downgrade I would say. It's Assault Empowerment, increases willpower and heroic regen while overcharged. Not played Thor in a long time, but personally I used to find it hard to keep overcharged up. I've no doubt people say in the comments below it's easy and they get 100% uptime on it, but I found it hard to get it. And what you used to get previously on this, it used to actually increase or decrease even the heroic regen in one of your heroics, which I far prefer over a perk such as this. So we have 4 perk changes here. The melee slot 1, it's Warrior's Fury Destruction, increase all status damage dealt by 25%. If that's damage and not status built up, then that's actually really pretty nice. Moving on to the slot 3, we have Odin Force Safeguard, provides armour based on amount of intrinsic energy you have, similar to Hulk in that his bar actually builds up, so this could potentially be alright, but then again, if you're a melee character, you're not going to have much intrinsic energy because you'll get knocked out of it, and if you're not a melee character, do you really need armour? So yeah, actually in second place I'm not sure about this perk. Finishing up, we've got the heroic slot here, Assault Empowerment, high chance to activate intrinsic burst on God Blast. Once again, I'm pretty sure this was one that actually gave you your heroics quicker, so I see that as a downgrade. And then Warrior's Fury Extension, increases duration of Warrior's Fury. This is nice, pretty simple change, but this is a nice one. For the Apex set, we have 2 changes here. One of them is completely unique, so that is nice to see, I suppose. It's on the defensive slots, Lethal Unarmed Cryo Leak. It looks like, from conversations I've seen, Alex, the developer behind the changes, really wants people to run an unarmed Thor build, but with this it spreads Cryo Leak for each enemy defeated, whilst unarmed, once again, it's different, so I do appreciate seeing that. And then looking at the slot 4, second perk down, Rampart Lethal Extension, extends Warrior's Fury duration for each enemy defeated. Perks like this can genuinely be quite nice because with the right setup you can potentially get 100% uptime on particular buffs, and some of the buffs can actually offer some real nice increases to your damage and your defense and so on. But that is all the different characters done there. If the video has been helpful, please do take the time to hit the like, share and subscribe button. Content wise for Avengers, I'm not really doing much news in it because it is no news at the moment. If we get a new hero, I'll look to do a guide on them, but outside of that I'm really not sure what I'm going to cover. But in the meantime, I'm going to be playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. I really like what I've seen so far. I'll be doing some streams and I'll be doing some guides on that as well. But yeah, thanks for tuning in for this one. Stay safe. See you all again soon.